Welcome back. I chose to decorate the slides in this chapter with images of Thanksgiving because in the U.S. this is the time of year when our thoughts turn to the bounty of a fall harvest and gathering with family and loved ones around a festive dinner table laden with sumptuous dishes. The carving of a Thanksgiving turkey and the slicing of a pumpkin pie bring to mind the statistical process that is the focus of this chapter. We'll be talking about ways of slicing and carving up a distribution of scores into equal parts. Welcome back. The title of the chapter is Visual Frequency Distributions Looking at Data, Unit 4, Percentile Points and Percentile Ranks. Welcome back. The objectives for this unit are as follows. You will learn how to define percentile points, define percentile ranks, to understand how to use a cumulative percentage curve to estimate percentile points and ranks, to define other ways of carving up a distribution into equal parts. Welcome back. Percentile points slice or carve the distribution of scores up into equal portions. Visualize a cumulative percentage curve. A percentile point is a score on the x-axis. It corresponds with a percentile rank on the y-axis. The symbol for a percentile point is uppercase P sub lowercase p. P% of the scores in a distribution are lower than uppercase P sub lowercase p. Welcome back. I chose to decorate the slides. Some examples of percentile points are as follows. If 25% of the scores in a distribution fall below a score of 48, then 48 is the 25th percentile point. Symbolically, this is written as uppercase P sub 25 equals 48. Or if 50% of the scores in a distribution fall below a score of 75, we express this symbolically as P sub 50 equals 75. Welcome back. I chose to decorate the slide. Let's talk about some more clarification of language. Sometimes statisticians shorten the statement and simply say 48 is the 25th percentile or 75 is the 50th percentile. The word point is implicit in these statements. It's important to remember that percentile point is just that. It's a point on the distribution. Students sometimes mistake the term and think it is a range of scores, but it isn't a range, it's a single point. Welcome back. Recall a cumulative percentage curve from a prior unit. The scores on the x-axis are the number of dates each person received. The y-axis, you remember, provides the percent of people who received a value of x or lower. If we start at the cumulative percent of 80 and move our eyes across the graph to the curve, then drop our eyes down from the curve to the x-axis, we see a 6 on the x-axis. So this means 80% of the people received 6 or fewer dates. So the 80th percentile point falls at a score of 6. Or we can say the 80th percentile point is a score of 6. As I said earlier, statisticians sometimes shorten this to say the 80th percentile is a score of 6, but we will make an effort to use the conventional language and say percentile point. Welcome back. I chose a percentile rank is a percent. It is a percent of scores that fall below a given score on the x-axis. For example, if 25% of the scores fall below a score of 48, we say the percentile rank of 48 is 25. Another way statisticians say this is the score of 48 is at the percentile rank of 25. Welcome back. I chose The notation for percentile rank is uppercase P, uppercase R. For example, we can say percentile rank, or uppercase P, uppercase R, 48 equal 25. In other words, we would say the percentile rank of a score of 48 is at 25. Notice we don't say it's at the 25th percentile, but the word percentile is implied. Welcome back. We'll visit the cumulative percentage curve again, and this time we'll reverse the direction of arrows. We'll start at a score of 6 and move up toward the curve, then take a sharp left when we hit the curve to find that our eyes settle on 80% when we reach the y-axis. We can say the percentile rank of a score of 6 is at 80, or PR 6 equal 80. Welcome back. What is the link between percentile points and percentile ranks? They say the same thing from 2 points of view. It's like looking at the head side or the tail side of a coin. P sub 25 equal 48, or PR 48 equal 25. These are two equations, and they're interpreted the same way. Welcome back. A quartile is like a percentile, except that instead of dividing the distribution up into 100 equal parts, as we do with percentiles, we divide the distribution up into 4 equal parts. So we can have P sub 25 is the first quartile, represented as uppercase Q sub 1. P sub 50 is the second quartile, which we represent as uppercase Q sub 2. And P75 is the third quartile, which we represent as uppercase Q sub 3. Welcome back. This is a frequency polygon. Recall from a prior video, the x-axis gives the scores and the y-axis tells you the frequency or the number of people who obtained that score. Be sure you can distinguish between this curve and the cumulative curves we've been looking at. The difference is that this curve tells you the number of people who received each score. In contrast, the cumulative curve tells you the number of people who received a particular score or a lower score. It adds people to the count as you move up the x-axis. Each quartile is marked on the x-axis. The first quartile, Q sub 1, is a point below which 25% of the scores fall. Another 25% of the scores fall between Q sub 1 and Q sub 2, which is the second quartile. Another 25% of scores fall between Q sub 2 and Q sub 3, the third quartile. And the remaining 25% of scores fall above the third quartile. In sum, quartiles are points along the x-axis that divide the sample into 4 equal parts. Welcome back. Likewise, for deciles, each cut point identifies 1/10 of the distribution. For example, the first decile, symbolized as uppercase D sub 1, marks the 10th percentile, symbolized as uppercase P sub 10, or the point below which 10% of the scores fall. Similarly, the second decile, uppercase D sub 2, marks the 20th percentile, or the point below which 20% of the scores fall, and so on up to the 9th decile. D sub 9 marks the 90th percentile. 90% of the scores fall below D sub 9. Welcome back. Pentiles divide the distribution into 5 equal slices. Hexiles divide it into 6 equal slices. Heptiles create 7 equal slices, and of course, percentiles define 100 equal slices. If you are American, you may have had an experience after your Thanksgiving dinner of trying to make all the kids happy by dividing the pie up into equal slices. For 6 kids, you divide the pie into hexiles. For 7 kids, you divide the pie into heptiles, and so on. If you're off by even a little bit, you may hear complaining from the kids. Even if you aren't American, you can probably relate to this example. Welcome back. In sum, in this lesson we learned Percentile points are scores, percentile ranks are percents, and both can be visualized with a cumulative percentage curve. There are other ways to slice up the distribution. Welcome back. And this is the end of Chapter 3.4. Up next is Chapter 4, where we will begin measures of central tendency. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.